I just listened to Joe Rogan's latest podcast with Dr. Layne Norton and Dr. Dom D'Agostino. Dom's an advocate of a low-carb, ketogenic diet.
I'm not interested in losing weight, but ketogenic intermittent fasting is very, very easy for me. I love the food and I feel better. I think all my health biomarkers are improving.
While Layne argues for a higher-carb, flexible diet.
If you control your calories, you eat enough protein, then you can kind of do whatever you want with carbs and fats and whatever you prefer, and you'll still lose the same amount of weight and get about all the health benefits.
Now, clearly both of these can't be accurate, and both men do acknowledge that the best diet for you is going to be dependent on your goals. And they also agree that carb tolerance doesn't vary that much between different individuals.
I don't think that people are more or less carb tolerant. I think that people have slower and faster metabolic rates. So if you have a faster metabolic rate, you'll be more carb tolerant by default because you can just tolerate more calories.
I agree with that.
This means that calories, not carbs, would be the most important factor for fat loss regardless of which diet you choose.
We both agree that in terms of weight loss and body composition, that your total calorie intake per day is the most important thing. Correct?
Yes, and I believe the ketogenic strategy is a way to regulate that.
Right.
This might sound obvious, but from my experience with the carnivore diet, I can guarantee that this is not the only factor that matters when it comes to fat loss. Layne actually claims that restricting fat intake has a slight weight loss advantage over restricting carbs.
You get a small extra benefit from fat restriction versus carb restriction on fat loss. So you get about 26 grams extra fat loss per day, calories equated, protein equated, if you restrict fat versus carb.
But if he's right, this advantage would be so small that you can really keep eating whatever you like and still lose weight as long as you restrict your calories.
If you like low carb better, don't worry about losing an extra 26 grams of fat. If you like low carb better and you can sustain that, then do low carb.
And this is where the debate begins. If calories are really more important than carbs for managing your body composition, then whichever diet restricts your calories the most will lead to the lowest body fat. Don believes that the best way to naturally restrict your calories is through a ketogenic diet.
When your ketone levels are elevated, that confers many different benefits that I believe can enhance adherence to the diet. Appetite regulation is influenced positively by nutritional ketosis in ways that we're just starting to learn now.
Well, you can certainly feel it. It's one of the weirder things about the ketogenic diet. When you're in that state, all of a sudden you're just not hungry the same. There's not an overwhelming need for food.
But Layne says that's not always true.
That is not always going to work. Some people don't feel that satiated on a ketogenic diet. There are people who do feel hungrier on that.
And there's no evidence that supports the fact that a keto diet is easier to stick to.
If you look at low carb versus low fat, there's no difference in adherence overall on the whole. There's no difference. And there's no difference in weight loss. There's no difference in blood lipids, even glycemic control.
But the data doesn't support that it makes discipline easier in terms of your adherence or in terms of your long-term adherence.
Both.
I'll test this by starting on a keto diet, eating as much as I want whenever I feel hungry, and tracking the food that I eat. I'm tracking the food that I'm eating on a keto diet so that when I'm done, I can keep the same level of calories and protein, but reduce the fat, increase the carbs, and compare how a high-carb, flexible diet compares to a low-carb ketogenic diet when it comes to weight loss. But Joe brings something up that brings the debate far beyond just weight loss.
One of the things that we seem to be getting into here is the difference between losing weight and optimal performance. And then optimal performance mentally and hormonally versus optimal performance physically in terms of like athletic pursuits.
Again, better is going to be relevant to your goals, but if you're interested in physical performance, then
overall, is the ketogenic diet a good strategy for someone that's involved in some sort of a brutal athletic pursuit?
It can be, absolutely. Actually, I was on the classical ketogenic diet then, deadlifting like 3 times my body weight for reps.
So there was a recent study. They did show that there was actually slightly less muscle mass using the ketogenic diet. As far as repeated sprints or things where you need that anaerobic system, I am not ready to say that a ketogenic diet is going to be as good.
There's no conclusion here. So I'm going to evaluate this on myself by testing my body composition and strength before and after each diet. But what I'm even more concerned with are the cognitive benefits.
You were specifically discussing hormonal changes in the body due to the ketogenic diet that are beneficial, and that these hormonal changes and the changes to the way that the brain functions would be a benefit of following that diet versus just working on calories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's that.
Don believes that the keto diet has real physiological advantages.
So the food that we eat creates, is not only calories, but creates a hormonal response. And also from the brain perspective, can change the neuropharmacology of your brain. I mean, that's how I got into the ketogenic diet, because it fundamentally changes neurotransmitter systems and reward systems and things like that. It worked very good for me throughout my professorship, getting tenure and things like that, where I could just put more time and energy into my work.
Whereas Layne believes these advantages are more psychological.
You feel like this might be some of what's going on with a lot of this low carb stuff, that people say they feel so fantastic because there's some sort of a placebo effect?
That's possible,
Right.
because the brain is unbelievably powerful. There was a study, and I may butcher it because I can't remember it exactly, but they took people who had legit allergy problems and they gave them a sugar pill. And they said, this will improve your allergies. It should not have done anything. Over half the people reported that their symptoms got better, and 30% actually physiologically got better because their brain was telling them, get better.
If you go to a witch doctor and you really believe, it might actually help you.
Yes.
Again, there's no conclusion here. And that's why I'm going to measure my productivity and blood nutrient levels throughout each diet. I already started a keto diet and I've been tracking my food so that we can make the comparisons I mentioned earlier. We can use these measurements to track the changes between my strength, body composition, productivity, mental clarity, blood hormone levels, and other things as well. If you're interested in getting updated on these diets, how they're affecting me, what I'm eating, and anything else that I find interesting, then subscribe to this channel and I'll keep you posted. For now, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.